focus on.
Here's why you're wrong.
Like to push that bigotry.
Here's why you're wrong. Right across the board, from when little girls compete at school now, to high school, to college, to potentially professional sport. If you do not stop trans athletes competing against women, it will destroy women's sport. More and more sports are seeing it happening.
Get back to reality.
It is reality.
So Piers,
it's happening.
Who should replace him?
It's happening.
I don't care. I don't care. Piers,
well, you should care.
The funny thing is, I actually agree with you, but I don't care.
Okay.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. As you can see in the title and in the thumbnail, we're going to be continuing this debate from the Piers Morgan show. Yesterday, we watched this debate, but the beginning part of it, where we were talking about this dude here on the far right, Brian. We pointed out hypocrisy and a whole bunch of lies that he was pushing. But today, we're going to be watching this debate, or this back and forth between Piers Morgan and Cenk Uygur about trans athletes in women's sports. And they're going to segue into this conversation because they're going to talk about who should replace Joe Biden, but how, Cenk is not going to vote for the Republican Party because the Republican Party is so evil and they're taking women's rights and, a whole bunch of nonsense. So Piers is going to point out his hypocrisy when it comes down to this talking points of women's rights, when it comes down to killing babies. But when it comes down to women's rights in sports, in bathrooms, in private spaces, they go silent, or they just virtue signal. So we're going to watch this debate, and we'll talk about it at the end. Let's get right into it.
And unlike apparently every other Democratic establishment person, I don't want to lose to Trump. But apparently they don't mind losing to him at all. You'd be mental to run a guy at 37% approval. Incumbency is an albatross around his neck, so is his age, etc. So if you don't want to beat Trump, fine. You raise your hand and say, I love authoritarian leadership. I bow in front of the Democratic establishment. I will never defy you. I bow to you. I bow to you. It doesn't matter if you roll out a mad king with no clothes. I'll say he has clothes, and I don't mind losing to Trump. So if you go to who should replace him, first of all, anyone. Give me any random Democratic governor that you pull out of a hat, and that person will have 10-point higher.
But who's the best? Who's the best
Joe
potential?
Biden, and we'll have a great chance at beating Donald Trump for the reason that Brian is talking about. Because the Republicans hate women who have freedom. They don't want women to have freedom. They want to snatch your body away and say, that's the government's property.
Bruh.
And they believe in giant big government and the jackbooted thugs of the government coming and snatching women's bodies and saying, you can't have contraception, you can't have an abortion, you gotta do whatever the man says. So I'm never gonna vote for a Republican. It's a sick party. But I also don't want
just
to
on that
lose
point,
to them like morons.
Cenk, just across the pond here, I would observe that on the Democrat progressive side, they think that it's perfectly okay to just completely destroy women's rights at the altar of limitless gender identity, to the extent we have biological males crushing women. Well, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, when I hear Democrats,
that affects,
listen,
no, Piers, let me explain.
Let me finish.
That affects 0.00001%. You guys are obsessed with beating up on trans people. It barely affects anyone in the country. It's a giant distraction. Meanwhile, women are 51% of this country, and you don't mind Republicans taking away their freedom completely and saying that their body is a property of the U.S. government?
This guy's an idiot. This guy's an idiot. So he believes, okay, let's just say it is 51% of the population is women. He believes all 51% of the population of women are pro-choice. That is 100% not true whatsoever. Not all women believe in pro-choice. Some of them actually are pro-life. They actually want to save life. They don't want abortion up until birth and at 9 months, and after birth, abortion. Have all of those women, 51% of the women don't agree with that. So that's a bunch of nonsense. But he's talking about, this trans issue only affects a small group of people. No, that's actually reverse. It's actually the opposite. Women opportunities being taken away from them affects more women than biological men not being allowed into these spaces. That's the small group of people that y'all are trying to virtue for. That you're speaking of the group of people that we say that, bro, it's less than 1% of the population that you're eroding women's rights for? It's like these people's thinking is ass backwards. It makes no sense to me.
Slightly weird when I hear people on the one hand ferociously wanting to defend women's rights, but on the other hand quite happy to see those rights traduced by things like allowing biological males to compete in sport, or allowing biological males to be in female spaces, whatever it may be.
Piers,
I'm sorry, you may not think it's important.
No, you're being ridiculous.
I'm not being ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
I'm not.
And I'll tell you why. Because Piers, on trans women competing in professional sports, I actually agree with you. But you know who that affects? About 7 people in the country. To pretend that that's a real issue,
that's completely
that's not
wrong.
a real issue.
No,
that's
Cenk,
a culture war issue.
Cenk, it's
meant
not.
to divide and
we're seeing it.
hate.
We're seeing it in more and more.
And it's
Hang
meant
on,
to
let me
cover
respond.
up. It's meant to cover up Republican crimes as they snatch away women's bodies and say, you're going to have a rapist child. That's what Republicans actually believe. And you go, oh, wait, look at that distraction. 7 people are involved in a sport they shouldn't be involved in. Wow, what a big deal.
Cenk, I agree with you about abortion. I'm pro-choice for women on abortion.
He's so emotional,
I think I'm the only consistent person in this conversation because I defend women's rights across the board. I'm not picking and choosy about what rights I'm prepared to defend and not defend.
Okay, whatever.
And if you think that, if you honestly think only 7 people are affected by the trans sport thing, and it's got nothing to do with trans people, I want them.
It's more than. Hey, are you saying it's in the thousands? Are you saying that there's thousands of trans women competing in professional sports?
No, but
are you saying it's hundreds?
No, but
no, it might not be thousands of them competing, but it's thousands of women losing opportunities. Just in one sports competition, if a trans athlete wins first, second, or third place, everybody that came after him essentially was affected. They should have been ranked higher, but now they're not. So that's hundreds of women that one trans individual has affected. Yes, it actually does affect more than 7 people. Come on now.
Are you talking about dozens or single digits?
It
is a microscopic issue that you are choosing to focus on.
Here's why you're wrong.
Like to push that bigotry.
Here's why you're wrong. Right across the board, from when little girls compete at school now, to high school, to college, to potentially professional sport. If you do not stop trans athletes competing against women, it will destroy women's sport. More and more sports are seeing it happening.
Get back to reality.
It is reality.
So Piers,
it's happening.
Who should replace him?
It's happening.
I don't care. I don't care. Piers,
well, you should care.
The funny thing is, I actually agree with you, but I don't care.
Okay.
Wow.
It affects so little people. It's an obvious distraction.
You wouldn't be saying. You would not be saying that.
Trump?
Well, I agree.
How do we beat Trump?
Yeah, okay, we'll come to that.
Trump?
But just to be clear, it affects a lot more people than you think, that issue. And if you were a mother or a father of a young girl, very promising athlete, whose Olympic place is stolen by a trans athlete who has an unfair advantage, you would not feel the way you do.
Has literally happened to maybe 2 people on planet Earth.
Shouldn't be happening to anybody.
Maybe.
Facts.
2.
Anyway,
out
let's
of
get
8
back
billion
to
people.
Is Gavin Newsom the right?
Facts. He cannot handle it. But Pierce is 100% right with that last statement he made when he said that if you had a daughter that was affected by this, you would not be thinking the same way that you're thinking. That's the problem with these leftists. They cannot critically think enough to see the consequences of their actions and their policies until it actually has affected them. Until they actually have to bear the consequences of the things that they push for, they cannot understand the harm that it possibly can do. And that's the worst thing about these people and the policies that they push for. So let's see and read and see if there's any new comments different from yesterday. Shows how democracy is not about votes but about money. Cenk has so much hatred in his demeanor. Yeah, he's so emotional, and when he's wrong, he tends to scream and yell because he's wrong. He's 100% wrong. He can never make a valid argument. But yeah, the comments are new from yesterday. This is just another part of the debate that we watched yesterday. It's really the same comments. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Love pointing out the hypocrisy from these leftists, these woke social justice warriors. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about it in the video. Comment down below. Hit the like button as well. And of course, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more content. See you guys on the next one. Peace.